This is the gear closet in my office. As you can see, it's in need of some reorganization, and I need to make space for some new gear that needs to be stored here. In this video, I'm going to show you how I'll reorganize my closet to store all of my camera gear and share 10 tips on how to organize your gear. So let's get into it. Hey, I'm Desiree, and if this is your first time here, I create videos on photography, video, and camera gear. I'll leave links to everything I'm using for this reorganization down in the description if you want to check them out for yourself. Throughout the years, I've bought a lot of gear, and now I need it to be easily accessible, so when I need to pack for a shoot, I can find it quickly. I really like everything to have its own space because it just makes it so much easier for me to find things, and it eases my mind when I don't have to look at a mess. This closet was just being used for general storage, so in the past, I never put any thought into it being functional for my camera gear. I've just kind of thrown everything in here. I added some cabinets and drawers in an attempt to have a place for everything in the closet, but over time, it hasn't held up. Plus, the entire closet space isn't being fully utilized. My first tip is to plan out how you want everything to be arranged in the space you're going to dedicate to storing your gear before you begin organizing. I measured the dimensions of the closet first so I can know which kind of shelves would actually fit in the closet. When you're planning, also think about making space for future gear purchases. There's always going to be some new piece of gear that is going to come out in the future, so you can leave some extra space to incorporate that new gear. My ultimate goal for this closet is to have quick and easy access to the gear I use often, so I can find it when it's time to pack up for a shoot. I made a list of all of the gear I wanted to be stored in the closet and noted those items that I use frequently so I know how much stuff was going to be front and center. I drew a very rough sketch of how I wanted the shelves to go in the closet and how everything should be laid out on the shelves so I could visualize the layout I wanted. This was my blueprint, so I knew exactly where to put everything when it came time to do it. My second tip is to go through all of your gear and get rid of anything you're not using. If it's collecting dust and you haven't used it for a few years, sell it. You can make some space and extra money. I took everything out of my closet and went through all of my gear. I sold off anything I hadn't used in a long time or no longer served the purpose in my workflow. My next tip is to buy a sturdy shelf to store your gear in. Gear is expensive and you don't want to run the risk of anything falling on top of it or the shelves falling apart because they can't hold the weight of the gear you placed on it. You don't want to go too cheap on buying a shelf. I recommend buying a shelf based on several factors. One is the maximum weight capacity of each shelf and the overall shelving unit. The more weight it can hold, the better. Two, if the shelves are adjustable or not, because it's better to be able to adjust the height for your needs or to even add more shelves to better organize everything. And three is the material the shelves are made of. You want something that is durable and can withstand the weight of your gear and won't warp or break over time. I bought 2 heavy-duty wired shelves made out of metal. Each one came with 5 shelves that I could adjust the height of. I could even buy extra shelves if I needed to add more, since these shelves are pretty common to find. Both shelving units had the ability to add wheels on the bottom, which was great because I needed to be able to move them in and out of the closet. If you're going to add wheels to your shelving unit, make sure they're strong enough to support the entire weight of your shelving unit with the gear in it and that they lock in place. Once you have the shelves assembled and in place, then it's time to organize. I use stackable drawers to organize my gear, which is my next tip. I got these drawers from the Container Store. They are modular and stack on top of each other and come in different sizes and depths. I love the look of these drawers, and they are great if you want to add drawers to an area that doesn't have a structure to install drawers. I chose to go with drawers instead of storage boxes because it's faster to just open a drawer and get what I need versus having a bunch of storage bins stacked on top of each other and having to take them out and put them back. Now there's something I want to warn you about when it comes to these particular drawers. If you have heavier gear you want to store, especially in these bigger drawers, you need to weigh it down on top so that the top of the drawer doesn't pop off when you leave the drawer open. If the drawer isn't weighed down on top enough, It will fall out if you leave it open for too long, expecting it to stay in place. You don't want your expensive gear accidentally falling out. So if you want to get these drawers, it's important to think about the weight when you're figuring out the stacking configuration. Make sure you have an even distribution of weight, or don't put any heavy gear in them if you're not going to have drawers on top that are heavy enough to weigh down the lower drawers. That is my biggest complaint about these drawers, since I have my cameras, lenses, and audio gear in these bigger ones, and I don't have anything weighing them down because of this shelf here. Just be aware of that when you're looking at storage bin options. Tip 5 is an extension of my previous tip, and that's to use smaller bins inside the drawers to organize small accessories. I use small bins like these to store different accessories, batteries, clamps, and anything else that is loose and can get easily lost in these drawers. I have some other bins that are a little bit bigger to store cables and different types of mounts, and even organize my audio gear. These can be stacked on top of each other, and I like to have each bin hold all of the items that are related to each other. I also have these storage bins of just small drawers to store tiny accessories like screw adapters, small mounts, and other things that I need quick access to. Camera gear is an expensive investment that you want to protect. So my next tip is to store your most fragile equipment in padded cases, like a Pelican case, to prevent it from getting scratched or damaged, because they are rock solid and made for protecting equipment. But if you don't have access to Pelican cases, or store your cases somewhere else and just need to store your cameras or lenses in a drawer or a storage box, then you could get padded dividers to cushion your most delicate gear. My cameras and lenses sit in this padded divider in this drawer, since I can access the cameras faster there than if they were stored in my Pelican. The next tip is to organize and store your gear by category and dedicate certain areas to storing that gear based on those categories. Having multiple drawers and bins makes this easier to do for smaller items. For bigger items, you can dedicate an area in a room where all of those things will be stored. My cameras and lenses are stored together in one drawer. My lights are stored together on this shelf. And I can find everything quickly because each drawer and shelf is labeled, which is the next tip. It may take a while to label everything, especially if you have a lot of stuff, but in the long run, it'll be worth it. If you don't label it, you may forget where you put certain things, and then you'll have to go through everything to find it, especially right after you've just finished reorganizing everything. This is helpful if you have someone helping you pack gear that doesn't know where everything is, and they can find it easily. Just grab a label maker and label everything. I labeled each drawer with its contents. The ninth tip is to store your cables neatly and tangle-free. You don't want to damage any of your cables, so get some cable ties to wrap up your cables. You can even get some hooks or carabiners for your shelves to hang the cables on them. The 10th tip is to have a charging station for all of your batteries. If you're like me and have all sorts of batteries and chargers, I recommend having a dedicated space by an outlet where you can keep all of your chargers plugged into a power strip so they are handy when you need to charge your batteries. If you have too many chargers and your charging station becomes a mess like this, you can take it up a level and build a charging station like this one. I built this charging station that accommodates all of my chargers and has a USB hub where I could charge even more things. If you want to know how I built this one, I have another video where I show you how I did it. If you're watching this video right after it's been published, then that video will be available next week. If you're watching this later on, then the link to that video will be in the description below. Those are my 10 tips for organizing your camera gear. Here's how my closet turned out. I do have a bonus tip, and that's if you have extra space, Consider putting together a few essential gear kits based on your most common shooting setups. Creating kits can streamline your workflow and save you time when preparing for a shoot. You can have a camera kit, audio kit, lighting kit, a support kit consisting of tripods and C-stands, and an accessory kit. Store the items in each kit in a dedicated bag or case. Be sure to label each kit and store them where you can have quick access to them so you can grab the kit you need and go. However, if your space is limited or your equipment needs vary by shoot, this may not be possible. Since I don't have a lot of extra space, I only have a kit for my DJI action camera. But if I had more space, I definitely had more kits. Overall, I'm thrilled with how the closet turned out. Having all of my gear in one organized space has significantly cut down on packing time, and I can now find everything I need much faster. Also, I have a clear view of all of my gear and can determine if there's room for any new gear in the future. If there is one thing I would like to add to this whole setup, is to have a surface or a workspace where I could put my camera backpack or case on top of while I'm packing or when I have to tinker with some equipment. Right now, I only have this small area as a workspace, and since there isn't any additional shelf space, I have to put my bag on the floor when packing. I was thinking of maybe adding a retractable tabletop with legs in one of the shelves that I could pull out when I need to pack and then put back when I'm finished. I'm still trying to figure it out, but if you have any suggestions or ideas for adding some type of retractable or collapsible workspace to my setup, please let me know in the comments. Well, that wraps up this video. If you have any additional tips for organizing camera gear, please put them in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you did, please hit the like button since it makes a difference in getting this video out to more people. And be sure to subscribe to my channel for more videos on photography, videography, and camera gear. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.